We're back out here at the Big Lake once again, and today we're talking about 3 effective tricks with one of these that I'm sure you're not doing. Stick around, you don't want to miss this one. Got him. I got him. And here is this video's featured comment. Congratulations! If you would like to have a chance to have your comment featured in an upcoming video, all you've got to do is leave a comment. And now, on with the video. Welcome back to LowBrow Fishing, and today we're talking about these little guys, tubes. One of the most effective presentations that there is. I know guys who throw nothing but tubes and they catch a lot of fish. Now, there's a lot of misconception around these little guys, right? That they are mainly for smallmouth, that you use these up north, and smallmouth anglers, they love these things. But I am here to tell you that largemouth and spots will go after these just as much. Case in point is today out here on the little lake. Well, I was fishing a tube and I fished these several ways, which is what we're going to talk about today. But I was fishing this in a few different ways and I was able to catch really nice bass. Now, as far as throwing a wacky rig or a weightless Texas rig or a fluke or something like that, those are great presentations. But as I've said in the past, I like to vary what I'm doing. That way, those bass, well, you always have to keep them guessing. Right? You have to keep them on their toes or on their back fins, as it were. Now, a lot of times we can have an effective presentation, like in my case, a Waco rig or a tail spinner worm or a wacky rig or something like that, but you can use those too much. And while they catch fish, you end up getting diminishing returns. So, as they say, show them something different. And that's exactly what I'm going to do today, because I've got 3 different presentations with tubes that I know that you're not using. Now, the first thing we're going to start out with is this guy right here. This is something that I've talked about before in the past. This is just a chatterbait that I've taken the skirt off of and I've attached a tube. This is a Berkeley tube, a power bait tube. And I've just got it, threaded on there. I've got it pushed through the top and I've got the hook coming out. And this is something I call affectionately the chatter tube. And this is something that I have caught many, many fish on. Today, it was also super effective. This gives me multiple presentations. I can swim it like a jig. I can hop it and drag it on the bottom like I'm doing a worm. Or I can swim it and work it like I would a regular chatterbait, which is what I was doing today for the most part. We had a good bit of cloud cover come in. Those fish had come out from underneath the flooded brush that I'm normally skipping. And if you saw the last video where I was talking about fishing on sunny days, you know why I prefer to fish under flooded brush. But today, well, those fish were roaming and we had to go after them. Fortunately, those fish were active today, so it was pretty easy for us to find them. We could see them busting up on shad. I pulled this guy out, started casting out there, and well, it wasn't long at all before I was put on a fish. On a soft plastic jerk bait. First time she fished a soft plastic jerk bait, she catch a 1.4 pound fish. But I knew that fish was a little bit bigger than you were saying. Yeah, but 1 point. Got him. I got him. All right, it's a nice one too. Oh, oops, come here. You're not getting off. I felt that one. Come on. On the chatter tube. He hit it like a ton of bricks. Ooh, nope. You're not getting away that easy, buddy. You tried to get away. It tore its lip. I had him in the lip. That's a pound and a half. Make sure that I'm actually rolling. Good deal. There you go, little fish. All right. So within a few casts, I had a nice 1.5 pound bass. That sort of thing is a message. It lets me know that I'm on the right track. Those fish are interested in what I have, right? If you catch a fish, then that is a great signal that you're in the right ballpark. A lot of times we can go with what we have. We don't really have to dial anything else. We're catching fish. We've got it dialed in. However, if we're still not getting a lot of committals, well, then we can change things up just a little bit. And if I want to slow things down just a little bit more, well, I go to a different type of presentation. It's something you've seen me do in a previous video, and that is, well, I take it and I just wacky rig it, right? And then you've got a wacky rigged tube. However, these have a tendency to just sit there and float on top of the water. So there's a little something extra that I do to ensure that I get a float, but I also get a really awesome fall rate. I will take a 1/8 ounce bullet weight and I will push it up inside that tube. I'll just kind of push it in there as far as I can, all the way to the hook. And I don't want to go past the hook because I found that when I put it past the hook, it changes the fall rate completely. But this will glide down in the water. I mean, it just glides almost like a hover rig or even a traditional tube jig. And I don't ever have a problem losing that weight out. I can skip this up under brush. It skips great. I can cast it a long ways. Every time I work it, it's just got a little bit more different, a little bit more erratic motion. And this has produced some really nice bass for me, especially here lately. Like I said, you've seen me fish this a couple of other times in different videos, and this is just a great presentation that I know nobody on your particular body of water, they're not throwing this. I bet you they're not throwing this. So this is definitely one of those things that you can show them something different with. And it's a highly effective fish catcher. It's all right. Now I've got this wacky tube on here. And we're going to go ahead and give this a try here in just a couple of places. Okay. But we are going to see if we can. There we go, I got one. On the wacky tube. Come on, stay with me, buddy. Stay with me. That's not a bad one either. That is not a bad fish, and he swallowed it. Look at that, he went after it. He choked that dude all the way. That didn't take long at all. Thank you, dude, bye. Now the third thing I want to show you is something where if you have a tube and you've used it quite a bit and it's starting to get worn out, but the tendril's down on the end, right? Those are still good. So what I do is I snip those off and I will thread them up onto a stick bait just like this. This is, just like a little skirted stick bait, and you can wacky rig this, which is what I like to do. You can Texas rig this. It works really well either way, but it gives it just a little bit more flair. When it sits down in the bottom and you're letting it dead stick, those tendrils, those little strands, they kind of sit up like a skirt would. So essentially, you're putting a skirt onto a Senko, and it's a very effective presentation. This is another way to show those fish something completely different. And those are the types of things that we are trying to do. We want to stay ahead of the curve, as it were. We know a lot of guys out there, they're not fishing a tube. Up north, they may be fishing a tube, but down south, they're not really fishing a tube. And there's ways you can rig them weedless. You can do a stupid tube, which I've talked about before. It's a way of using a shaky head, and you can rig a tube weedless that way. But rigging it wacky rig, using a chatter tube, and especially, putting the old part, taking the tassels off of it and just putting it on a stick worm like this, those are things that you're not going to see other anglers doing. And the fish, well, the fish still go after them. They're very enticing to the fish, and they're great ways to catch fish. So it's an excellent way to change things up and keep things fresh. So you don't have to keep relying on the same old standbys, weightless Texas rigs, wacky rigs, flutes, and things of that nature. Things like this will definitely get it done for you, and you can keep it fresh. So there you have it. There's 3 ways of rigging a tube that I'm sure you haven't tried before, and they are reliable fish catchers. So whenever you're looking to do something to change things up, to get out of that old rut, give those a try. I know they will be effective for you. Thanks for watching Lowbrow Fishing. We'll catch you in the next one.